Jelly, welcome to learning iPhone programming. I'd just like to introduce you now. This is Jelly, the sister of Lane. Uh, Jelly heard about Lane learning the iPhone programming from me and was super excited and wanted to learn also. So I agreed to teach her some iPhone programming, and we will just get started straight from where we left off last with Lane. And of course, Jelly was able to view those videos online of what had taken place in the past. So what we'll be doing is we'll be working on an application that allows us to use the date picker. And I've actually created an app for this session, um, and it deals with the singularity. Um, I'm super inspired by Ray Kurzweil's book, The Singularity is Near, and I've already built this app and I'll create it fresh. But what it does is it shows Ray's picture and then asks that question, how many days until the singularity? And it when it first loads it starts out at today's date. So now it's March 21st, 2013, and we can press this question and we discover that there's 11,650 days remaining until the singularity on February 12th, 2014 or 2045. And we just say I understand. And now if we wanted to see what it's like, say tomorrow, how many days left? Okay, it's 11,649. So it's calculating the number of days, and we could go to some arbitrary date like April or November. Okay, and then at this point it's telling us 9,000 something days. Okay, so it's a countdown for the singularity. And just to remind you or introduce you, maybe you're not aware, like, Ray Kurzweil, he's the author of The Singularity is Near. And the singularity, uh, in it, he talks about this idea of the point of the singularity. That's when that's in 2045, a point where progress is so rapid it outstrips humans' ability to comprehend it. Uh, Irreversibly transformed, people will augment their minds, bodies with genetic alterations, nanotechnology, and artificial intelligence. So that takes place in 2045. So this iPhone app that we're building now is a countdown for the singularity. And he doesn't say actually the date, the day. He just says the year, 2045. So what I did is I picked his Ray Kurzweil's birthday, which is February 12th. So we picked February 12th, 2045 as the date that we're counting down towards. So let's get started. We're going to open up a fresh project, single view application, and we'll just call it Singularity Countdown. We won't use storyboards. Automatic reference counting iPhone. We go ahead and create our project. Now first we'll jump to that nib file. That's where our user interface goes. And oops, I'm just going to bring this up. I'm putting it to my side so it reminds me of where things are supposed to go. Okay, so we bring up the objects library, and we'll be needing a couple things. We'll be needing a button. We'll be needing a date picker. Date picker. Drag that in, put it at the bottom. And then we'll be needing a image view, because what we're planning on doing is putting Ray's picture there. All right, Now this is the starting point. And we'll just go ahead and update some of these elements. How many days until the singularity? Question mark. Okay, we have our button. This date picker, we want to switch the format, so it's just going to be a date. A bit simpler, and we'll include the year. Now with this image view, we need to go ahead and put Ray's picture there. So we can just go to Wikipedia and we'll just save the image to the desktop. All right. Now we have Ray's picture downloaded to the desktop. And we'll just drag it. Oops. We will drag Ray's picture to, oops, sorry, to supporting files. So, and then be sure to copy item into destination groups folder. Finish. So you can see now Ray's picture is in our project. So what we want to do is we want to display that picture here. And so we need to select the image view. We can also use our jump bar to be sure. And then within the inspector on the right, attributes inspector, we're going to choose Ray's picture. Now you can see the aspect ratio isn't correct. So we need to go under the view mode. Instead of saying scale to fit, let's see how it looks when we do aspect fit. All right, that's looking better. Maybe it's a little small. Let's make some more room so he's a bit bigger. Okay, let's run this in the simulator to see that it looks good. I was running it before, so I'm gonna close it off. Okay, we're running it again. All right, here this is the what it looks in the simulator, what it looks like in the simulator. The date picker is covering up the button, so we need you notice here this is using the dimensions of a kind of a more advanced version of the iPhone. This is using an older version of the iPhone. That's fine, but what we'll do, and it's using auto layout as well, so it sort of fixes up the spacing, but it needs to have you know, enough sort of room to fix up that spacing. So I just made that picture a bit smaller, and then should be hopefully better. Yeah, okay, that's better. So here we have Ray's picture, how many days until the singularity, and then our date picker. Now this isn't performing the operation we want yet, so let's implement that. So currently we only have the user interface properly set up, and it's not connected really, the elements on the user interface is not connected to the code. So we need to start to wire those things up. And if you look at our view controller, there are no properties or outlets, just the starting point template for the implementation file. So let's first start by connecting up some of our outlets and IB actions. I'll make some space here, and I'll open up the, well, I'll start first with that nib file. And then here with our .h file, the header, we can start dragging in components. So this is going to be an IB action because it's a button pressing. And we'll just call it days until Singularity. Touch up inside. And I'll go ahead and keep this organized. So we'll just say IB action. And then we'll be putting our outlets. I forget what's. I'll put the header in a second. We need an outlet for our date picker. So I'll do that. Date picker. Ooh, actually I don't like it all like that. Date picker. All right, there's our date picker outlet. And it defaults to starting out today's date. So that'll be a nice, it'll be nice to start out there at today's date to first do the calculation. And then if we want, we could skip ahead, say go to someone's birth date. And once you're on somebody's birthday, then you figure out the days until the singularity. So it's kind of nice, that flexibility. But so we have our user interface elements wired up to the code and accessible. And this method here, it should be visible in the .m file. We use a jump bar, and there it is right there. And we don't, again, need to synthesize this property. Xcode is going to automatically synthesize that property. Let's start implementing some stuff. So first, just to sanity check, I kind of like to do these NS logs. You know, days until singularity. So we'll just make sure that got printed to the console when we press the button. Everything should be fine. Okay, yeah. Days until singularity. Okay, so that's wired up well. Okay, let's start to do some of these calculations and such. Now, how we'll organize this is we will first calculate that days value. So we'll say int days, and then we are going to make a helper method that will be called calculate days until singularity. Now it doesn't, it's giving us an error here because it doesn't know it exists, this helper method. So we need to actually create that helper method. And let's just give it kind of a dummy variable. I kind of like to do that. So we'll say there's 2,000 days until the singularity. So we'll just hardwire it up in that way. And let's actually move on so the user interface is working nicely. That's kind of a neat way to decompose the project. So let's now set up that message. So the display message. So we will be allocating a new string. So NSString alloc an int with format. I'll give us some space. So that we'll be jumping to that .m file, and then use a jump bar to go down to the area where we want to be. So message equals NSString alloc an int with format. All right, now this is where we're going to be putting our message that gets displayed. So this is %. I gotta find it. Okay, %i days remaining until the Singularity on February 12th, 2045. Now remember, I came up with that February 12th. Ray Kurzweil says it's 2045. I just chose that day because it's Ray Kurzweil's birthday. Okay, now this is our message. So that should be loaded up nicely. And let's go ahead and make our UI alert. Oops. And that UI alert will be displaying our message. And then once that's working, we'll go back and try to get the calculation accurate. So we'll just call it my alert, UI alert view, alloc, init with title. And let's clean this up in a way by putting these guys on separate lines. We'll go ahead and close it off. Now the title, that's going to be Singularity Countdown. And the message, we've already created that message. Delegate is nil. Cancel button. I understand. And there are going to be no other buttons for this. And finally, we need to actually display that alert. So we'll say my alert show. Let's see if it's working. Looks good. Singularity countdown, 2,000 days remaining until the Singularity on February 12th, 2045. I understand. Now, it used our I'll go ahead and comment out this so it doesn't pop up the console. Now, it's using a dummy data, the 2000. So let's make that now more accurate. How are we going to do that? Well, we need to do some calculations of dates. So this little helper method we made, this is where we do our date calculation. And this might seem a little difficult. There's going to be some unfamiliar classes I'm about to be using, but just go ahead and roll with it. And we can look up some of the class reference. So we'll start first with the NSDate formatter class. We're going to be allocating a new instance of NSDate formatter. And we'll look up the class reference in a sec. Alloc init. Let's just have a look at that. So instances of NSDate format create string representations of NSDate objects, convert to textual representations of dates and times. So basically, this helps us with this date handling. Now, we want to set this formatter to a particular sort of input string value. And I'll go ahead and look up the class reference and show you what I'm about to do. So we've instantiated a new instance of this NSDate formatter. And what we'll be using is this method, instance method, set date format. Set the date format for the receiver. And I happen to know the patterns used by the NSDate formatter. And I'll just go ahead and use that pattern that I'm already aware of. So this pattern is showing, Well, in this, we're setting the date format based on a string. And it starts first with the year, 4 letters for the year, 2 letters for the, or 2 characters for the month, 2 characters for the day. And you can look up additional patterns if you'd like in the documentation. But we'll just go ahead and move forward. Now, next we'll be specifying the date of the singularity. So singularity day, formatter, date from string. And we'll be using the pattern above to input this. So you can see 2045 is the year, February is just 2, and then 12, the day, which is Ray's birthday. Okay. Now we want to determine the interval between this day and the day displayed on the date picker, which starts out as default as the current day. And the way we do that is by using a class called NSTimeInterval. Time interval. Let's look up what that's all about. So we're using our special Alt key, or it might be Command Alt. For me, it's Alt, but it might be Command or Apple key or something on for you. You've got a strange keyboard. See, used to specify time interval in seconds. So this is a time interval in seconds. And it's going to be the output of this method. Singularity day, and that's of type NSDate. And we'll be using the method time interval since date. And that date is self date picker. That's coming from our outlet, and date. So that's the method date that's available to us on that UI date picker component. So that was maybe a little tricky what I was showing there. Let's look up a little bit in the documentation. So NSDate, that's the singularity day. It represents a single point of time. Now we can see that time interval method within the documentation. Time interval since date. So this is that method that's available to us. It returns the interval receiver another given date. And then that date is this. That's coming from this guy. That's coming from, and then accessible from this UI picker. Okay. Now that gives us our time interval in seconds. Okay, that's like an integer or a number or something. Now let's calculate the days based on that value. So we'll say int days. Okay, it's going to be time. So it's in seconds, right? So it's seconds divided by the number of seconds in a day. And we'll be making another helper method for this. Seconds in day. That's our helper method that we're about to make. So it's giving us an error because it doesn't exist yet. So let's make that. Now this is going to be returning an integer, seconds in day. All right. Let's just pick a number, and then we'll actually calculate that. So let's just say, okay, there's 5,000 seconds in a day. I don't know what it is. And then we won't be returning that for 2,000, that hard-coded number right there, but we'll actually be returning days. Now something's going on. What's wrong? Seconds in day. It wants the dash. So it wants to be specifying that this is an instance method. In fact, private. It's not available outside of the class. And we're just hard coding it to this 5,000 here. So let's run that and see how it looks. All right. Okay, we're getting some number here. It's not correct, but changes the number. Okay, getting another different number. So it's doing that calculation, but it needs the correct value of the number of seconds in the day. All right. So this is our process here: decomposition, starting high level, and then filling out the details in this modular fashion. So in this function, really all we need to do is calculate the number of seconds in a day. Now, we can certainly do that, can't we? So we say int seconds, 60 seconds in a minute. All right, int minutes, 60 minutes. Oh, wait. There's 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in 1 hour, int hours, 24. It's 24 hours in a day. Now, seconds in day equals seconds times minutes times hours. And then we return seconds in day. So that returns not this random number that we guessed, but the actual number of seconds in a day. Let's run that. By the way, I'm using a shortcut of like Command R or something like that. You gotta look up whatever that is. The shortcut. I think Xcode gives you a hint. Yeah, it's this Command R. Okay. So let's do that. Okay, there we go. So today's date is March 22nd, 2013. That's correct. So it's loading it up with today's date. It's sensing that. And then now it's calculated. There's 11,650 days remaining until the singularity on February 12th, 2045. I understand. Now, if we expect that if we move it to March 23rd, it should be a 49 there at the end. And there we have it, 49 right there. 11,649, I understand. Now, you can do things like go to certain events, like maybe, let's say your birthday is like, or New Year's. So we'll go to New Year's Day of 2034. And there's going to be 4,059 days remaining until the singularity on New Year's Day of 2034. Okay, well, I think that pretty much covers it. So this shows you how to build an iPhone app using that date picker, wiring up elements, doing some calculations, and it uses that. I was going to say delegation, but actually, that date picker is wired up to an outlet that makes the date chosen available to the code. So I think that pretty much sums it up for this one. So I'll see you on the next video.